Too many people look at solar as too costly when in fact it's one of the best investments you'll ever make. 10% annual rate of return for the rest of your life is a really great deal. In this video I'll show how solar reduced our annual energy cost from $6,000 per year for this old house for the electricity, the home heating oil and gas for the cars, down to only a few $100s a year. The $5,500 per year of saving quickly shows the return on our initial solar investment. Here you see how our roof is totally obscured by trees, so we put the first 3 arrays down here in 2012 that reduced our electric bill to near zero. But they were within 100 feet of the creek where no man-made structures are allowed, so we were the first in Maryland to get a variance to the Bay Waters Buffer Zone for solar panels. Back then, solar panels were considered impervious structures, and so we had to compensate 3-to-1 in tree plantings with a $2,000 escrow payment to a state tree program. Instead, we let the lower area of our yard return to natural grasses as shown here, and eventually got the escrow back. Eventually, the state eliminated the requirement for tree mitigation. But then we were still spending $3,000 a year on inefficient, stinky, dirty home heating oil. Changing to a heat pump reduced that energy cost in half, but more importantly, being an electric, we added additional solar panels to compensate. This is where our 4-year battle with Maryland finally got the law that prohibits solar panels on piers changed. With 100,000 piers in Maryland, just putting solar panels on them could eliminate the A.H. Wagner coal plant on the shores of the bay south of Baltimore that you can see here in the distance. Here you can see my do-it-yourself solar pier. Unfortunately, Maryland took my pier proposal word for word and adopted my limitations into the law. That is, no more than 4 feet high and not to exceed the pier width by more than a foot. These restrictions only make sense for a floating pier where the panels will always be above water, but would be disastrous for any fixed pier, considering the very rare storm surge that could be as high as 10 feet and ruin any fixed panels on fixed piers. We also added panels on the old garage roof and even on the northwest roof of the house. Since these face different directions and get sun and shade at different times than the original 3 arrays, they could simply be added in parallel without the need for additional inverters. With grid-tied solar providing all our annual electric needs, the only last fossil fuel we were still burning was in our cars. We began to eliminate that in 2007, back before you could buy an electric car, when I bought 2 salvage Priuses and added solar panels and batteries to drive on electric. Finally, in 2017, I bought a used 2013 Chevy Volt for only $12,000, and now all of my 36-mile daily commuting was entirely electric. Jacking up the hatch and adding solar panels generates about 30 free miles a week and also helps power the car in field and outdoor events. It's amazing that people think solar is expensive when it actually costs only about half of what they pay the utility. They think nothing of paying $200 a month electric bill. That's $24,000 down the rat hole every 10 years to the utility with nothing to show for it. It's just lost. Instead of investing it on their own roof for a solar electric power plant, which they fully own, have all the equity in it, and it will give them free power for much more value for the rest of their life.